15 grandkids, and none of them will go to bed. I have.
I wonder if somebody else has a Mustang there. They're like, where is he?
It's all the core out of it. So,
Yeah.
Public school.
Perhaps. Yeah, maybe.
There's very, very few places I would want my grandchildren to go for higher education. Very complicated. Well, like Charlie, he didn't do any college, but he went to a whole bunch of Hillsdale.
We're putting on this event. I don't know where Glenn is, but thank you, Glenn.
He's driving a forklift.
He's probably out driving a forklift. Please welcome Joey Gibson.
It's great to be here. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I guess we'll. There's a flag here, I think. Yeah. Oh, maybe right here.
Everywhere.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If it's okay with you guys, I'm going to lead you in a prayer. God, I want to thank you for bringing all these our brothers and sisters here today. I want to thank you for the courage that you've instilled into this country since Charlie's death. We want to thank you for the movement that you created out of this evil. What a beautiful thing. We ask that you not let us forget and not move on and forget what Charlie did and all the work and all the effort he put into this country for God and freedom. God, we ask that you just give us half the courage that you gave Charlie. And we love you very much. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Okay, so today, I'll be quick. I don't have much time, so I'll get straight to the point. Today, something that's been on my mind, I want to talk about the beautiful story about Jesus walking on water and calling his disciple out, to come walk in water. And obviously, you guys know the story. When he's focusing on Jesus, he's able to do what Jesus asked him to do. But when the storm comes in and he focuses on the storm, that's when he begins to drown. And that's like two real things I want to talk about here today, and that's really about your perspective on things, okay? And really just listening to Jesus, just period in general. In terms of perspective, one of the best examples I can give you that I think about is what happened with Charlie Kirk, okay? You can look at it from two different directions. It's so easy to get lost in the hatred of the response online of Charlie. It's so easy to get focused in that, and I did that several times. But at the same time, it's really easy to be inspired if you focus on what Jesus is doing in this country in response to Charlie. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's such a big deal because you can go in two completely different directions. And I see it online, and there's so many people who are intentionally trying to antagonize and to upset people. And I just noticed that you don't have to take that big, okay? So 2 weeks ago, I gave my first speech that I've given in over 4 years. And to a lot of you, that may not seem very significant, but for me, it's very significant because it's been a big process for me in the last 4 years to get that courage to come back and to give a speech. When I sit down and actually think about the reasons beforehand why I'm having these concerns or these fears or whatever it may be, when I actually kind of lay it down on the table for God, for me to work out with him, it's feelings of feeling unworthy, embarrassment or shame, or thinking about just all the mistakes that I made or could have possibly made that I don't even know about, because it was a crazy time for me. I mean, I went from just throwing a flag wave by myself and within 3 months I'm on Tucker Carlson trying to convince the world I'm not racist. It just happened so fast. To Nancy Pelosi calling me out as a white supremacist. It happened so fast, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept trying. And even as serious as our friend Jay getting murdered in the streets in Portland for his political beliefs. So all that, you know, there's a lot of storms going on in that time. And there's a lot of times where I would get lost in the storms and not focus on Jesus. So there was a lot of mistakes that I made. And I remember one time I was kind of laying this out there, and thing is that God put on my heart is that you don't get to try without making mistakes. You know, no one gets that privilege. Maybe Jesus, but no one gets that privilege. He put on my heart, like, Joey, all those fears that you're putting out there, that you're telling me about, that you're experiencing, he's like, that's the reason why most people don't try, is because of those fears. That right there. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there and I just started to have a vision. And it was almost like watching a movie. And it was all these things that had happened throughout the last few years that I had forgotten about. So many good things, so many beautiful things. And I was completely sober, just so you guys know. Okay, I didn't like take peyote and go out to the desert. So I was like driving my truck, and I'm like seeing these things, and I'm in tears, and I'm seeing all these beautiful things, you know. And that again is about perspective. You can look at things, and you can focus on your mistakes if you want, you know, but you can't let that take away from all the beautiful things too, all the good things that you've done. And so the other thing too that hit me about that is that it's very self-centered to me, because it's like I think that God can't make beauty out of even my own mistakes. You know what I mean? And so going through that process, you know, I was already getting kind of antsy and like really wanting to go back and give speeches. People have asked me to do speeches, and I kept declining and stuff. But then, you know, Charlie died, and that was really hard. I couldn't, you know, there's no excuse, you know, everything that he did. He worked so hard. So 2 weeks later, I went out there and I gave a speech at one of his vigils in front of like 1,000 people, and it was, I was so scared and so nervous working up to it. But once I did it, it was one of the most freeing feelings I've had in a long time. It felt so good. I got to be free, you know, in that moment. And it's going out there and living just a little dream, you know. You can't focus on the big thing. You're not going to be able to change the world, you know, in one night, but it's about those little things that you go out and just live your dreams in little ways. It reminds me, because the thing is, is there sound? Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's not the first time this happened to me.
You got a good voice.
The president last week. You're good company.
My very, very first time that I decided to throw a rally, I had no idea what I was doing, and I just wanted to do something. And in no way was I going to give a speech, because that was like my biggest fear. And I was trying so hard to get other speakers. And it just wasn't happening. And I remember driving down the road. This was a big moment for me. Driving down the road, I was like, I should probably just quit. And I started crying, and I just pulled over and I just laid it out to God. I just said, I don't want to quit like I've always quit. I just laid it out there. I got nothing though. I want to do this rally so bad. It's my first rally, but I got no speakers. I don't know what to do, God, you know. And I just laid it out there for him. And he said, go home and write a speech. And I've said this story so many times, but I always focus about when I get to the rally and actually give the speech, because I was scared. I didn't want to do it. But I was thinking about at that moment when I decided to go home and actually write that speech and actually listen to God, right? You got to listen, and you got to be obedient, and you got to focus on him. And so that moment, you know, I was thinking about it today, that moment is what made all those other beautiful moments happen after that. Everything that I went through was because of that one moment of living my dream, that small dream, and being obedient to God. And so if I can just put that on your guys' hearts, that those little moments can be so important, and to follow your heart and to face your fears and just go out there and do what you believe in. just like Charlie.
We love you, Joey.
Okay. Anyways, I'll finish off with this. One of the biggest things and fears that I had to face in the last few years after I stepped back was the fear of commitment. One of my biggest fears ever. At that time, my girlfriend Lindsay, we were we were going through so much together, so hard, and there were times where I wanted to be done, I wanted to be over, and every single time I came to God, He always said, He's like, you guys are meant to be together. Every single time. He never wavered from that, not once. And it was at times annoying, okay? Because there's times where like I just wanted to be done. And it got to the point where like whenever things were really hard, I was like coming to Him like, hey, are you sure? Like, and every single time He said, you guys are meant to be together. But at a certain point, like I'm talking about when you look at things, when your perspective isn't right, at a certain point my perspective of it felt like I was trapped. Like I had to do it. Like God said, I'm putting this on you. But it wasn't until one day that I was really on my knees praying, God, like is this, can you release me of this? And everything's like, Joey, you never had to. It's a choice. It's a blessing, you know? And so, anyways, it worked up when after Charlie died, I decided I'm going to ask her to be my wife in Sedona. So she's here today. But this is the last part that I'm going to say. So when the day that I was going to ask her to be my wife, you know, I had no concerns. I was a little bit nervous but excited. Anyways, it was in Sedona, and I'm driving. I got up early in the morning. I'm driving down the road, and I'm seeing all these beautiful mountains. I'm playing worship music, you know, feeling the Holy Spirit, all this stuff. So excited. And all of a sudden, I get that little voice like, whoa, are you sure you want to do this? You know, it was the first time. And then I was like, hey, God. I was like, is this the right thing to do? And I just heard Him laughing like, I've been telling you this for 4 years. Yes, I've never wavered from that. And I was like, okay. And I felt that relief. And yeah, went to that day and asked her to be my wife. And I didn't ask her to be my wife because Charlie died, because it was going to happen. I know it was, and we were meant to be, but it was just after that I just knew the truth even more, and how much he needed Erica, and how much he needed that partner, and how strong they worked together. But all right, guys, thanks for having me up here today. Appreciate it. She said she'll think about it. She did say yes. Thank God.
I actually didn't say yes, I said absolutely.
Are you sure? Sacred prayer group. All right, come on up, Bob. Give him a good one. Thanks for being here. No, I don't think so.
You're just gonna have to speak up, I think. I don't know.
One of them was working.
That's one over here it's kind of working, but if we move it, we're gonna end up with the feedback on it. So try this one.
Don't walk around.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Can you see me?
Yeah. Let's go.
I'm old and short, so I just wanted to know if you can see me. Anyway, it's a great honor to be here to talk to friends that are mine life. But first of all, I want to introduce my wife, Frances. And one of my posse members, Dave West, over here. Also my prior campaign manager. So, anyway, we've had a good run. I got 14 months left on the third term and 4-year terms. And there's a lot of far left progressives in the county that every time I speak, their hair catches on fire. But when that happens, you know you're over the target.
Yep.
And you don't back down from the far left progressives who wants to change this country into a socialist, Marxist country.
That's right.
as a constitutional sheriff. And by the way, I only won by 160 votes in our county, so that tells you that our county are starting to turn blue, and that's sad. But anyway, as a constitutional sheriff, I have one boss. That's the citizens that put me in office.
Amen.
The governor's not my boss, the board of county commissioners is not my boss,
Yep.
the U.S. Feds, they're not my boss. In fact, when the feds come into our county to do an operation, they clear it with us, and meet with us. If it's a legitimate operation, we work with them. And I'm a little upset Tom Coleman hadn't got a hold of me to help me go after illegals in our county. We just had an arrest by U.S. Marshals, and they contacted us, wanted our help, located a suspect on a felony warrant for basically child rape of a 12-year-old, domestic violence, and incest as well. We located him and took him into custody. He was an illegal. So we have them in this state. And you think about it, those who come across the border under the Biden administration by the millions, where do they head? They head for sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, and so forth, because they get protection from the government of those cities or states. Well, this is one town, or one county, I should say, in Klickitat, that we don't put up with that nonsense. We follow the law. The Constitution of the United States is the law of the land. In fact, you ought to heard him when I first got elected in 2004 to help us, because we're short of personnel, extremely short of personnel. I have 3 deputies, that's a good day if I have 3 deputies on the ship for the entire county, 2-hour drive from one end of the county to the other. We've seen a lot of domestic violence, drugs, you name it. We try to do the best job we can, but I can't afford to take commissioned officers off their shift and put them at events like parades, fairgrounds, other county events. So they work those events for us. They volunteer their time. Also created a air wing. I got 5 pilots that fly for us, looking for smoke during fire season. Special deputies. I swore them in as special deputies. They look for smoke, look for bad guys, look for lost people. And you know what they charge us for that? 0. Volunteer all their time, their expense, everything. I got hound handlers that do the same thing for problem predators. They volunteer their time. We are so blessed. We got a search and rescue group that does a lot of good work. And we're blessed to have 6 volunteers throughout our community. And, you know, I'd be amiss if I didn't say, Joey, I'm proud of you. Joey Gibson, you do a good job.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You came to Klickitat County and had a chance to visit with him, and we was on the front lawn of the courthouse. And I remember it well. Anyway, I created a posse. My God, you ought to have heard the liberals are here was smoking like you couldn't believe. That crazy sheriff has got a posse comitatus. He's going to run around out there and hang illegals from oak trees. I mean, honest to God, they were spreading that around the county. Wow. These people are idiots, complete morons. They don't get it. They drink the Kool-Aid, and they're easily impressed. Even though I would protect their constitutional rights, even if I heartily disagree with them, if their rights are being violated, I'd protect them as well. Because I serve all the people in the county. I'm up to 175 posse members for the county. And those who want to be armed, they can be armed. I'm a Second Amendment guy through and through. They go through NRA training. They go qualification shoots every year. So the reason I have them armed, if I had a real problem with government overreach, I know who I can call.
Right.
And that's the citizens of our county. So there will be people saying, Bob, that's radical. Boy, I mean, you just went off the deep end there. I don't give a damn. My service is to the citizens of our county and to protect their constitutional rights, their God-given rights, inalienable rights, from overreach from government or individuals who violate their rights. When COVID come along, I told the troops, you want to get a shot, that's up to you. You want to wear a mask, that's up to you. If you want to wear a mask, that's up to you.
Oh, it's a box.
The
mic in front of your face.
Well,
Try the one next to it.
I'll try to move it. That better?
Not working.
I talk low anyway, so almost need a mic. This one on?
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, on the COVID deal, when the government came out and with the restrictions and all this, the government went ahead. I don't work for him. But he passed this, a lot of officers, if they didn't get the jab and wear a mask, they'd get fired or they resign. So they defunded a lot of police in this state by doing that. But I told our deputies, if you want to get a shot, get a shot. If you don't, don't. It's up to you as an individual. Government should not dictate to you what you're going to have to do. And I had one gentleman call me up, use that word loosely, gentleman, call me up, and he says, Sheriff, you got to go down there by Lyle. You got a bunch of kite, they go out on the river with their kites and stuff like that, birds. And he said they don't have masks and there's about 10 of them standing around the circle, next to each other. I said, really? Well, you need to get down there and cite them. I said, I'm not going to do anything to them. They have that right. And he called me a few days and slammed the phone down. But that's okay. He was entitled to his viewpoint. I'm entitled to mine. And I wasn't about to go out and arrest people on a bullcrap thing like that because you didn't have a mask on, or you didn't get your shot, or any of this kind of nonsense. Because that's an individual right, a God-given right, you can decide on your own. I don't want to push back on that, but I'm getting back to my posse. I had one of the far left over in White Seminary, she's just ripping on me about this posse, the posse comitatus, and you're doing all this stuff, and we live in fear, and all this kind of stuff. Give me an example. She couldn't give me one. She was just against us having a posse. People that were helping out the citizens in our county.
How many of you have no idea what these initiatives are about? So one is about keeping girls' sports protected, which is amazing that we have to have an initiative like that. And the other one is to restoring parental rights to know what they're doing to your kids in school, because the Democrats clearly don't want you to know that. The people collecting these signatures, we've had 25 assaults in the last 4 days on signature gatherers all over Washington State. 2 days ago in Tacoma, somebody stole a bunch of these sheets, ran out into the car with the signature gatherer chasing them, and they hopped in the car and they hit somebody at the store in Tacoma, knocked over this shopper, and drove away. It was a hit and run. And so the people out collecting these signatures are really facing some headwinds with a lot of crazies out there. And so getting them signed in a place like this is really important. And everybody here should be signing those before they leave so that they get every signature they have. And if you have 10 or more friends, right, grab these sheets and take them home and get them signed by 10 more people and get them in. This is important. And you know it's important because the crazies wouldn't be attacking the people collecting the signatures if they didn't think it was important. And they know these are going to pass. So it's very important to go out and do that. One thing I want to tell everybody, because it's easy to sometimes get lost in the drama of what's going on around you in Washington State, what we saw happen with Charlie Kirk, just the chaos sometimes generally. I believe that change is coming to Washington State. And one of the reasons why you're seeing the established class, our political class in the state panic so much, is that they know it, and they are aware of some of these changes. Let me give you an example of a couple things that are going on right now that should indicate to you as well that there's a lot of problems. How many of you know that nobody knows where Governor Bob Ferguson is right now? He's not in Washington State. He didn't bother to tell anybody where he was going, except for Denny Heck, who is the lieutenant governor. You don't know who he is, nobody cares, but technically he's governor right now because Bob Ferguson has fled the state and we don't know where. Wow. It's like playing a game of Where's Waldo? Yeah. But nobody noticed because one of the unreported items that I think needs to get out there about our governor is that he doesn't go to Olympia either. Nobody knows when he's gone because he's working out of his home. He's phoning it in, and if you don't have a cell phone, you're not going to get a hold of him. And because he's doing that, so are a lot of agency heads, right? And it's actually, I mean, we have like, it's not even COVID, and these guys are using the excuse not to show up at their office in Olympia. Now, when you see what a bad job that they do when they're there, sometimes you think maybe that's not such a bad thing for them not to be around. But we have a government that's out of control, and that, like I said, I don't know if Ferguson's trying to find his country that'll have him, that doesn't have an extradition treaty with America, or if he's just trying to hide and figure out what he does when the Act Blue scandal finally gets unveiled. But I'm telling you, there's some real interesting, crazy things going on right now. If you've been paying any attention to just some of my videos I've been putting out, the election system, for the first time since any of us have been alive, they're actually looking at the Washington State election integrity at a federal level. And that is a big deal. That is a big deal. Now, some of you might know that Washington State Secretary of State Hobbs has decided that he's going to go full cover-up mode and he's not going to provide information to the Department of Justice. As did the other 8 states that have been sued over the last 2 weeks by the Department of Justice. So I believe that Washington's going to be one of the next ones. What that reveals is that for so many years, our Secretary of State, or the people who have run our all-mail-in voting election system here, they've told us that the secret sauce, black box, trust us bro program is all we need to do with elections, and that we shouldn't be asking or looking closer at anything. And if it's so awesome, like they tell us it is, what exactly do they have to hide? And that is the question. And I believe that we're finally going to start to figure out exactly what kind of problems have been covered up by our Secretary of State and by other people, unfortunately, who've been involved in this system. And this is a big deal. When I think of Charlie Kirk, and it's incumbent upon us in our generation, we have to fix what our parents' generation and my grandparents' generation didn't address. And they let things slide. And they let the little things slide, and eventually it builds up into big things. And your liberty and freedom starts to erode. And you start to justify a bigger and a more bloated bureaucracy, and a bigger and more unresponsive government. And a government that just slowly, slice by slice, takes away your liberty and freedoms. Now it's up to us, and we're in the generation where we have to solve this problem. We have to fix what's broken in Washington. Yeah, it's funny, and if you read the article, it's the first thing, of course, that comes up about me in Google now. Conservative activist, shoots a bad guy on his property. Oh, they said they didn't call him a bad guy, because after all, he was just a convicted felon 7 times in 5 counties. But inevitably, I think what happens, though, is these guys think they can get away with this, right? They just believe they can intimidate you. They believe that they can scare you. I remember I had a death threat from a Democrat PCO who called and left a voicemail, called from his home phone and left a voicemail on the death threat. Which, by the way, if you ever go to get a restraining order, the easiest thing to do is to play the death threat for the judge in court. That was the easiest restraining order, actually, I ever got against one of those guys. But we have to be willing to get out there and confront the other side. And it looks like a lot of different things. When I was a college Republican, years ago, despite growing up here, I went back east to go to school, went to Columbia University, of all places. And I remember when one of my favorite final events I did when I was there at Columbia was the left had this hunger strike going on, very similar to what you see them doing periodically, all kinds of virtue signaling out there. And I had a barbecue right next to it. And it was funny. It was funny. It was funny to me. It was funny to the students. And our college Republicans actually tripled in membership. It went from 100 members to 300 after that. And it was all because students looked at us and they said, you'll actually stand up to these crazies. You'll actually do something that's funny, and you'll expose the absurdity and the craziness of what we're facing. Now, I think it's really important that we come up with more effective tools to reach people that'll never come to an event like this. Some of you know I have a YouTube channel. I never intended to be a YouTube guy. We the Governed, if you haven't watched it, feel free to go there and look at it. But on my way down here, I stopped in Kelso. I live in South Thurston County. I stopped in Kelso to get gas. And there was the gal at the gas station. Her name was Tammy, taking my money. And she recognized me. And she watched my videos. And so it was fun. I'm speaking normally to a camera in an empty studio, so it's fun to meet people that actually watch the videos. She'll never come to an event like this, but those videos, she said she watches them every time I put a video out. And I don't know what her political affiliation was before, but I bet she's not voting Democrat this year. You have to find a way to reach out to these people. We have to find a way to reach out to the people. It's not about, story is important, because we're not paying attention to how to get the word out, I think, to other people. At the time, the professor told me that the students had voted, they wanted to meet a strange type of person that they thought might live in the community, which was a conservative activist. And so I've been very vocal on a lot of issues in the community, so they knew me and they brought me in. And the professor, before I went up in front of the classroom, she said, I've talked to the students, I've told them not to spit on you or call you names. It was really funny, that's actually what she said. And I said, it's okay, I'm used to hostile audiences, it's going to be fine. And I got up, she said, we'd really like you to stay here at least an hour and talk to students and take questions. So I went up, I spoke for about 15 minutes, and then it became a Q&A session, and it was all over the map. There was no limit, no holds barred, no restrictions on questions they would ask. And we really covered a pretty wide range of topics about liberty and freedom and the importance of our freedoms. Property rights, I was a very strong property rights activist. Gun rights, the Second Amendment, why it mattered, the man's relationship to government, all that stuff. And after about an hour and a half, full-blown, actually pretty respectful question, about 60 students. There was this gal that stood up in the back of the room, this black gal that stood up back there, and she, so I called on her, and she said, listen, I've been here 6 years, I'm about ready to graduate, which sounds about right for Evergreen. And she said, I want to know why I've been here for 6 years at this college, and not a single concept that we've talked about today has ever been brought up by a single professor or any class I've ever been at. And think about that. By the way, the professor was not happy after that question. And so then the professor starts throwing questions at me and the TA that was there. And the funny thing I remember realizing at the time is that, I had to go to a crazy leftist college too. I had to read all the stupid books that they make these kids read now. I know exactly what they believe. I know what books they read, I know what they believe, I know why their artificial constructs on how they put together their belief system. There's no question that she's going to ask that I don't actually have the answer to. But she has no idea what I believe. She doesn't even understand the answers I'm about ready to give. And it was an interesting issue, and I believe that's why they banned me from the college after that, because the professor did not look like the best person out there, and the students started a conservative organization on campus after that presentation. In fact, I got my intern later on at the Freedom Foundation from that. The point of that is sometimes you have to go into the heart of darkness. You have to talk to people that don't, what's the point, right? We're trying to reach out to these people who you believe are on the other side. And many of them are. You can't, I'm not going to go down to downtown Portland and convert Antifa right now. But I am going to find ways of trying to reach out to more people that, again, won't come to a Republican meeting. They probably don't even know that they're Republican, but get them more educated about these issues, the important things about what's going on. And you can't always do that talking about the Constitution. Sometimes you just do that explaining and giving them questions to answer, like, if it's so awesome here, why is everybody trying to get out of Seattle? If these guys are so brilliant in how they run government, why is it that they keep doing such incompetent things? Why is our gas so high? Why is it that we have these kickback schemes from the Climate Commitment Act going to very wealthy people as part of a political kickback scheme? Why is it that Bob Ferguson's left the state and we don't even know where he is? Why is it that Washington State's public school system is scoring far worse than Mississippi right now? The state that everybody in our education system used to mock. These are good questions. And these aren't questions that when you answer them, make the political establishment in our state look any better. One of my great fears is that sometimes success comes upon us when we're least prepared. I see a political sea change occurring in this state, and I think most people on our side, on the conservative liberty freedom side, we're not prepared for success. We're focused on obsessing about the crazy, absurd, bad behavior that they have out there. Listen, they give me a lot of material to work with on my YouTube channel. But at some point in time, that dam breaks, and we have the opportunity to step in and fix what they've broken. And we have to have a plan for that. People ask me often if I'm going to run for office. I have zero interest in ever running for office. But I'll tell you my dream job, because I also don't ever want to work for government with one exception. When we get a Republican governor in there, I want to work for him because somebody needs to be the hatchet man. Somebody needs to lay off 55,000 employees in Olympia. Somebody has to cut these agencies down. Somebody has to have an intelligent, rational way of downsizing the abusive state that we built, the Leviathan that we've created. And we have to do it, wisely. Remember, when Trump got into office in 2016, the amount of sabotage that occurred under the administration that he had. Same thing is going to happen when we get a Republican administration in Washington, and it is coming. And when that comes, we need to have a plan, we need to be prepared, we need to have a lot of good people, and they aren't all going to have their name on the ballot. And it's an important thing to think about. Now, again, one of the things I always close every one of my videos with, and I think it's a statement some of you have heard me say before, but the future belongs to those who show up. And I say that all the time. And it can't be said enough. There's a lot of our friends who think that somehow they can complain, they can surrender, they can pre-surrender, they can not vote, and somehow that makes it better. It doesn't. I had a friend that moved to Laramie, Wyoming, just a couple years ago to get away from it. Half a mile from his house, they turned the hotel into a homeless camp. My son's going to college in Bozeman right now. I went to the storage unit to pick his stuff up 2 months ago. There were 30 drug addicts hanging out in the street, splayed everywhere. I thought I was in downtown Seattle. Same thing in Billings, same thing in Missoula, same thing in Boise, Idaho right now. Because the same dumb, bad ideas that we have here spread. So this is the place, ground zero to defeat it. When it's defeated here, that defeat spreads around the country as well. This is an opportunity, really, for us. But it takes work, it takes effort, of course. I was glad to see Joey here, and it was fun. I hadn't seen him in a couple years. And it's important to have more people getting out there and speaking. But remember, sometimes it's not easy. I think Larry Harner's right. Sometimes you have to plan to suffer for a while. But it takes that effort, it takes that improving that communication, it takes that proselytizing, right? Being evangelizing for liberty and freedom. Should sell itself, but we're fighting an uphill battle sometimes and getting the word out. And I do believe the other side's crumbling, but we have to be prepared for success. Give them a reason to change what's broken and give us an opportunity to fix what's broken.
David Stevie, I'm the mayor of Washougal. I'm also your representative for the 17th district. And I'm here today, along with John, but really to say that we appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys being here today. John and I fought the battle last session up in Olympia, and we're in the minority. It's really important we got to get the majority back. We just spent the last, 2 days up in Tacoma talking about our strategy to get the state back. A lot of crazy things going on. We've got the highest gas. I mean, I could go through the whole stuff. But there are some important things that we're doing up there. Feel pretty proud that we stopped a lot of bad bills. And I guess why I'm here today is to say we got to get this majority back. We got to get people going. I don't like paying high gas. I don't like paying high groceries. I don't like, all the homeless stuff going on. And there's a lot of things that we've got to fix. And so the only way we can create new bills and new laws, get that majority back. So please talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. They're feeling it. And it's like, if you don't like this, then there needs to be a change. So that's the main reason why I'm here today, is to say we got to stand strong. We got to stand strong together and make a change in city, county, up in the state. And I'll say this in closing: we live in a gorgeous place, right? State of Washington. We want to live here. We want to make sure that it's our state and not somebody else's state trying to change it for us. So we're stronger together. That's always my slogan. That's all I have to say. John, you better come here and talk about that.
For council members of Washougal,
Yeah.
what is the makeup like in terms of
We're really strong. We're not, so I'm the mayor,
yes, you are.
and I gotta say that we have differences, but it's nonpartisan. And by the time we come to a vote, we're one. Not every city is like that. So we look out, you know, I look at life pretty easy. It's like, there's a problem, let's fix it. If there's a difference of opinion, then let's talk about it. But what's gonna be the solution? And I bring people together, and we solve it. Washougal, not every city. Yes, sir.
Yeah, several years ago, we went to the council in Washougal, and we voted against growing and selling pots in Washougal. Does that still stand today?
What do you think?
I hope so.
Still stands.
Thank you. Yay! Thank you so much.
Marine total, 30 years. Yeah. I'm with you.
Thank you.
Right, where'd John go?
We're going to have Charles Niles come up and talk real quick.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So Charles Niles, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Well, what a privilege to be here, you guys. Mike beat me out for PCO when I ran many years ago, so he's my new friend, arch nemesis. No, I'm just kidding. He's an amazing guy. So I am Jarrell Niles. That's how you say that weird name. If you live in Camas, you've seen a lot of my signs around, and the reason that I'm running is basically because I realized that we are going down a road that we need to fix quickly. Otherwise, we are going to be looking back, trying to fix all the problems that are now in our lap. And so Leslie had talked to me. I love Leslie. How many of you love Leslie? She's so amazing. One of the most hard-working people that I've ever seen on the campaign trail. I tell people I work hard for your vote, but man, nowhere near as hard as that lady does for all of you guys, and she works hard for you in City Council as well. My hope is that we can be a voice of reason, because we are living in a time where our taxes are going crazy. Our fees and utility fees are going to the point to where I can't afford to hardly live in my house anymore, and I make okay money. I'm a pastor at a local church, and so you'll hear me be the same person in office as I am in the pulpit. I believe that God has a plan for us, and so that's the only way we can live this life, is if we stand up. And you know, Charlie passing and being murdered is one of those things where I see people out there taking a stand where they haven't before, and so the devil doesn't know what he just woke up. So it is imperative that we get the word out. Amen. You can clap. I'm going to preach if that's okay. That's just who I am. I was going to say, if the mic's out, it's okay. I have 7 kids and I'm a preacher. I can project. So, so the other thing that I'm really concerned about is we're not taking care of our emergency services. And so I'm going after our fire department and telling them how much I care about them, how much I support them. And I'm actually looking to get their formal endorsement this Tuesday morning, so you guys can be praying for me. I think it's a done deal, but we got to go through the formality. But we are standing in the way, and I know if you're like me, we look at those new agendas in our proposals that cause our taxes to rise again, and we say, how much more can we do? Well, we still need to support our safety and firefighters. We still need to be people who take care of the people who take care of us. But as a city councilman, I'll be looking at the other places, because I believe, like Dave Ramsey, it's rice and beans and rice. If you're having a problem, you fix it and you live on the very least you can until you get back to where you can survive. So we need to look at all of those areas. I'm all about our safety, the taxes, but I'm also about keeping our hometown feel. We live in an amazing area of the world, and just like our former speaker, I am not willing to let my hometown go to the dogs and move out just so somebody else can move in and take over. We have a voice, and we need to make sure it's heard. I am like our friends at the Charter Review. I have gotten to know all of them that are on our side, and I'm saying it's time to educate people. We need to get the right people in the right places. We've got people like Mike Lee, we've got Liz, we've got Jana, we've got Kirk, and we've got people that we need to tell out there that this is important. And I'm hoping that I can get out just as much information as they do when we're talking about it, because everybody I talk to about the Charter Review, because that's how important this is. But also, I know we need to get the vote out. It's an off-year election, so we don't want 36%. How great would it be if we get over 70% of voters because they're concerned? We need our citizens to understand that their voice is important. My whole life, I've been telling people their identity it matters. Who they are is worth something. So I'm a people person first, not a politician. I'll listen to our neighbors and friends, and we'll make these choices together. We'll lead with each other, not me trying to pull somebody along. We're going to do this together. And that's the most important thing. So I would love your support. I would love to be able to have you on my side. If you want to volunteer, you want to give, just go to nilesforcamus.com. Come back and see me and talk to me. I'll answer any questions you might have. I know we're getting late in the day, so just come back and talk to me. We've got plenty of time.
All the other issues, but I believe because I was Mr. No Tolls and Mr. No Light Rail, I was elected, and it's an absolute privilege to represent you in Olympia. So where are we? We're in the middle of a tax nightmare. 3 years ago, the state of Washington had a $14 billion surplus. What happened in my very first session this year? The Democrats and the news media created a crisis, and they raised the general fund taxes by $9.5 billion. So think about that. That's a $25 billion flip from a surplus to a deficit. They raised $9.5 billion. They're picking your pockets. And just last week, because of all the taxes, businesses are fleeing Washington State. Jobs are being moved elsewhere. And they announced the projection going forward. And all of a sudden, we now have a shortfall. They are estimating a little over $400 million in a shortfall for the balance of this 2-year budget cycle. And because our Constitution requires us to project 4 years, the total 4-year projection is over $900 million. And so sadly, what's likely to happen when we go back to Olympia is the Democrats are going to go to the one playbook they know and that they have sadly used over and over again, and that's raise more taxes. And so my job and the job of all your representatives is to fight back and say, heck no. And my hope is that because they raised taxes, not only $9.5 billion for the general fund, they raised another $3.2 billion in transportation taxes. So that's $13 billion they're picking out of your pockets, and they can't get enough of it. Where did that money go? Is another question people ask. $4.5 billion of the $9.5 billion went to government employee pay raises. Do you think the government unions in Washington State have a little too much control over what happens in Olympia? I do. It's absolutely horrific, and yet in the midst of giving all those government workers pay raises, they underfunded Medicaid, they underfunded children health services, they underfunded Department of Corrections, so many different aspects of services our government provides. When you increased your budget spending overall by 8%, yet they cut services, something's wrong. The wrong priorities in Olympia.
I found my faith. I found my faith in God. Right on. It was a strength that I hadn't known before. Even though I was raised up in the church my whole life, I hadn't known this real faith, this true faith. And Keep the mic up. It's off right now. Oh. So what I found a book that I was reading, and it was wrote by a Christian doctor who was a brain scientist, and he went on to in this book and explained how the only true cure that he had found for anxiety was a solid faith in Jesus. And for me, I started going after that because I wasn't going to go get medicated. You know, I wasn't going to go dumb down my life and slow things down so that I can function in this world. You know, and so by taking up that faith, I started accepting that faith in my life. And for me, it was a freedom. He gave me a peace and a strength. And that foundation, if you have a faith that in Jesus, that's something that can't be shaken. You know, it's something that is unshakable. He says, never will he leave you, never will he forsake you. And so that's something that everybody should stand on, because in this world, I mean, look at where we are. Like, we're at the verge of a World War III, undoubtedly. And so what you hold as your strength is going to be shaken, you know. And if we don't have this solid rock faith, then we're able to be shaken. And if I go into politics and then what I hold dear is threatened, then I'm going to bend a little, you know, in these politics. And I guess it's that's my foundation, and I recommend it. You know, it's just, but for me, I guess where I'm getting at with that is that in this world, we're going to have trials and tribulations, but in Jesus we can have a peace. And I'm going to go into politics here. I'm not going to announce what I'm running for, but I'm going to get after it, and it's for my kids, it's for my country, it's for my relatives that are in the military. And you know, when it comes to violence, we're seeing it more. You know, we saw it with Charlie, and when I ran for sheriff, I got death threats, people shooting off rifles in my driveway in the middle of the night. The most recent was 6 months ago. Still getting threats, and that was because just doing just a little thing in politics. Within 3 days, I had somebody shooting 6 rounds off outside my house, and you know, that stuff is meant to stop me, you know. And the fact that I have that friction, that pressure, causes me to go on, because I realize that I must be worth something. I must be doing something right if I'm going to get the pressure, you know. And I'm just, I'm not willing to let fear stop me, you know. And there's a big thing about that. There's a lot of verses in the Bible that talks about you'll look for your enemies, you won't find them. They'll be a non-existent thing, you know. That you will, the wicked flee when nobody pursues, you know. And so I'm just, I wanted to get out here and speak on those topics, because that's an important basis in our country and the foundation of our country, that we know what we stand for, you know, that we can't have freedom without morality. And yeah, I encourage you guys to stand up for your faith and stand up for your freedom. You know, it's the only place like it here in this country.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Coming in advance, they want to send a note about Charlie Kirk. So on behalf of Rachel Anderson, Turning Point USA Field Representative, for my dear friend and mentor, Charlie Kirk, someone who meant a great deal to me. While I can't be there in person, I didn't want to miss the chance to share a few words and express my appreciation for this event and all of you gathered here. It has been one of my greatest honors working for Charlie in Turning Point USA. Charlie's faith
and relationship with God, telling people about Jesus, was at the core of everything he did. He, like myself, didn't strive to be nice, strive to be obedient to the Lord, stand firm for what we believe in because God exists and his son Jesus died for what we may, so that we may be saved. Charlie was a giant at 6'5", a walking encyclopedia, the smartest man I've ever met. He never wavered in his convictions and was able to completely change the direction our country was going in. As a political spokesperson, he called out weakness, encouraged others to stand up for what's right, and proved that the left can be outworked, outsmarted, and that there's no need to reach, and that there is a need to reach across the aisle. As a boss, he was very supportive and uplifting. He always wanted us as a staff to personally improve ourselves, think bigger, and be better. I've recently found out that during my first year with TPUSA, Charlie personally oversaw all field operations, something that means the world to me at a Lincoln Day, because at a Lincoln Day dinner in Yakima, he personally thanked me for everything I was doing. At TPUSA, we work hard, and we use his quote all the time: late to bed, early to rise, work like hell and organize. TPUSA now has over 1,000 college chapters and 1,000 high school chapters, and I'm proud to say that I now oversee 22 chapters across western Washington and Alaska, with more on the way. If you are interested, sign up at tpusa.com. Lastly, what would Charlie want us to do after his passing? Well, as part of the TPUSA family, we all agreed he would want us to mourn, but then work for his honor. We are doing just that. What can you do? Study the Bible, have a relationship with Jesus, get married, have lots of kids, get involved in the political process, vote, be bold, and work hard. As Charlie would always say after our team meetings, onward.
We're going to start the bidding at $40. I got $40 from anybody?
Yep.
For what?
Could you explain the bidding numbers on their tax?
Let me sell one first. How about $50?
$50.
Yep.
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 $60.
Yep.
Got it right here. $70.
Okay.
$70. $75. $72.
Let him have it.
Sold for $70. Number. 397?
That's my date.
397.
What's the name?
Sean.
It's Donna.
Donna's got it.
It's right in the middle.
Okay. Number 2, doggy gift basket. And it looks like it has a gift certificate also. 25 from Two Rivers on top of all these doggy treats and toys. $100 is the subscription value. Can I get $50? We got 2 at $50 and I at the same time. So how about $60? $70. Yeah? $80. Green. Got $80. $90. $85. Huh? Oh, you said 90? 90? Are we at 90?
No.
No? No?
Yep. Yep, she raised it.
You raised yourself? We'll take it. $90. We're asking for $100. We're going to sell it for $90. Number?